Welcome back, everyone. Today, we are diving into the cosmic world of Eternia, a magical realm filled with griffins, dragons, and enchanted forest. At the very center of this world sits Castle Grayskull, a mythical fortress guarding a power so immense it can turn a regular man into a literal god. To keep this universe-shattering power safe, it was locked away inside the legendary Sword of Power, watched over by a mysterious sorceress until the day a true hero arrives to claim it. For hundreds of years, a lineage of mighty warriors protected the kingdom. But the youngest of this bloodline, Prince Adam. Unlike his ancestors, Adam is small, physically weak, and prefers spending his time playing with his talking pet tiger, Cringer. Desperate to make a warrior out of him, his mother, Queen Marlena, sends him off to basic combat training. Training does not go well for the young prince. Under the strict eye of the king's master-at-arms, Duncan, Adam takes an absolute beating from his childhood best friend, Tila, who is a total prodigy. To make matters worse, King Randa shows up, completely embarrassed by his son's lack of skill. The king grabs a real blade, challenges Adam right then and there, and brutally knocks him into the dirt, reminding the boy that Eternia has no room for the weak. But family drama has to wait because, out of nowhere, the sky fills with enemy warship fleets. Skeletor and his dark army have arrived to launch a full-scale invasion on the capital city of Eternals. While legendary soldiers like Ram-Man, Mechanic, and Fisto use their unique abilities to fight off invaders in the streets, Duncan attempts to escort the royal family to safety. Along the way, they run into a terrifying, cybernetic warrior named Trapjaw. Duncan stands his ground alone to let the royals escape. He fights brutally and almost wins, but Trapjaw uses an arm cannon blast to defeat him, planting a bomb before escaping. Luckily, Tila rushes back just in time to pull her father out of the building before it explodes. Meanwhile, on the bridge to Castle Grayskull, King Randa and his family are surrounded. Recognizing the danger, Randa orders his wife and son to run ahead while he takes on Skeletor's army by himself. He fights valiantly but is quickly overwhelmed and captured. Skeletor uses dark magic to blast the head of the king's massive statue, places the royal crown on his own skull, and declares his new reign. Inside the fortress, the sorceress urges Adam to lift the Sword of Power. Knowing the kingdom is lost, the queen tells the sorceress to send Adam away to her own home planet to hide the weapon. The sorceress opens a cosmic portal just as Skeletor bursts into the throne room. Queen Marlena tries to protect her son but gets blasted by dark magic. Using her remaining power, the sorceress conjures a magic shield to hold Skeletor back and transforms into a bird to escape. Adam leaps through the portal, but the pure cosmic energy rips the sword right out of his hands, sending him crashing into a lake on Earth. Fast forward 15 years. Adam is now an adult living a mundane life in Oklahoma. He tries telling his incredible backstory to a girl on a hinge date, but she naturally thinks he is completely insane and walks out on him. Back at his apartment, his roommate, Hussein, pleads with him to stop sharing this fantasy story, suggesting Adam just blocked out a real childhood trauma with cartoons. Hussein even brings up an old school memory where the entire class and the teacher mocked Adam for presenting drawings of Eternian warriors as historical facts. To cope with his grief, Adam keeps a hidden box packed with his old sketches of Eternals. He spends his days working a soul-crushing human resources job, secretly using his work computer to scan the internet for any trace of his missing sword. His manager eventually catches him and threatens to fire him on the spot if he doesn't drop the sword obsession. But right at that exact second, a message pops up on Adam's phone: someone found the sword. Adam completely bolts from his office and runs to a local comic book store. Hidden away inside, he discovers his actual Sword of Power being used as a cheap prop for a collectible toy statue. When he tries to pull it free, it's wedged tightly. He ends up wrestling with the display, knocking the giant statue over right on top of himself while random customers record his embarrassing meltdown on their phones. Adam finally yanks the sword free, raises it into the air, and shouts the magical incantation, but absolutely nothing happens. Disappointed and completely empty-handed in terms of magic, he flees the shop with the stolen prop. The next morning, the cops burst into his apartment and arrest him for theft. But fate intervenes on the way to the police station when the squad car gets stuck in a massive traffic jam. Suddenly, people start sprinting down the highway in absolute terror. A massive alien beast, Beastman, has tracked the sword to Earth. The monster smashes the police car, forcing Adam to grab the sword and break through a window to escape. Beastman chases him down the highway, hurling heavy cargo boxes and smashing Adam into a semi-truck, causing him to drop the blade. Just as the monster closes in for the kill, a mysterious woman pulls up and blasts the creature with a high-tech weapon, sending it flying off the highway bridge. Adam looks up to realize his savior is none other than a grown-up Tila. Their quick reunion is cut short when Beastman climbs back up, but Tila hits him with a car door, grabs Adam and the sword, and dives into hiding. She explains that the sword emitted a massive tracking signal the moment Adam held it, which is how both she and Skeletor's monsters tracked him down. After a chaotic foot chase down the highway and through a park, they scramble into Tila's hidden spaceship just before Beastman can grab them, folding space to shoot back into the cosmos. During the flight, Tila delivers the heartbreaking news: everything changed after Adam vanished. Skeletor captured his parents that night, and they haven't been seen since. When they finally land, Adam is devastated to look out and see the glorious capital city of Eternos completely reduced to smoking ruins. To make matters worse, a classic villain spy named Triclops spots their arrival from the shadows. Meanwhile, over at Snake Mountain, Skeletor is furious. He brutally punishes Beastman with dark magic for failing to secure the weapon on Earth. His dark sorceress, Evelyn, points out that the sword is finally back on Eternia. Skeletor admits his deep paranoia: as long as that blade exists in someone else's hands, his grip on the Empire is temporary. He needs that sword to make his power permanent and ascend to godhood. Tila brings Adam down into a subterranean rebel base where the surviving royal guards are hiding out. When she introduces him as the long-lost prince, the hardened rebel warriors refuse to believe this random Earth guy is their savior. Adam tries to prove his identity by showing them his Oklahoma driver's license and business card, but the unimpressed rebels simply confiscate the sword and lock both Adam and Tila in a holding cell. Inside the cell, they discover a heavily intoxicated old man sleeping on the floor and a deactivated Roboto, a legendary class for battle robot currently reduced to doing basic maid work. Suddenly, Skeletor's forces launch a surprise attack on the rebel base, sending the facility into chaos. Tila desperately tries to kick the metal cell door down to help, but it won't budge. Adam approaches Roboto and politely asks for assistance. The machine calmly walks forward and tears the entire reinforced door completely off its hinges. Tila rushes over to splash water on the face of the sleeping drunkard, revealing that this broken-down man is actually her father, the former Commander Duncan. Duncan takes one look at Adam, recognizes him as the king's weak son, and promptly throws up directly onto Adam's shoes before passing back out. With explosions rocking the base, Roboto is forced to carry the unconscious commander out. As they sprint through the burning corridors, Ramman intercepts them and hands the sword back to Adam, telling him to keep it far away from Skeletor. They slide down a cave tunnel to escape, only to find their path completely blocked by Trapjaw and a squad of enemy troops. Duncan is too terrified to fight his old rival, so Adam decides to use his Earth human resources training to start a peaceful corporate dialogue with the cybernetic executioner. Unsurprisingly, Trapjaw is not interested in conflict resolution and immediately swings his deadly weapons at the prince. Adam successfully ducks and weaves through the strikes, but his physical attacks fail to move the villain even an inch. Cornered at the edge of a cliff, Tila screams at him to use the sword. The moment Adam touches the hilt, a vision of the sorceress appears, telling him to speak the ancient words. Adam grips the handle with both hands and unleashes the iconic phrase, "By the power of Grayskull. I have the power." A massive bolt of magical lightning strikes down from the sky. Adam begins to float as his muscles expand, instantly transforming him into a giant, armor-clad cosmic champion. Trapjaw immediately tackles him to break the transformation sequence, but the dynamic has completely shifted. Adam easily blocks every single strike. When Trapjaw tries to shoot him, Adam uses his magical bracelets to deflect the lasers, steps in close, and physically rips Trapjaw's mechanical arm clean off his body. He uses the severed robotic limb to blast the remaining enemy soldiers before the heroes scramble into Tila's ship and take off into the sky. From the ground, an enraged Skeletor screams at his retreating enemies, ordering his air-jet fleet to hunt down the ship. Enemy jets blast the rebel ship, breaching the hull. A soldier lands on the cockpit with a giant rotating socutter, forcing Tila to maneuver wildly while ordering Adam to the back. Adam finds a specialized skyslide airbike and attempts to deploy it, but because he has no idea how to fly it, he accidentally crashes backward and ends up dangling upside down above the jungle canopy. He manages to drop safely onto the roof of an enemy jet, throws the pilot out into the sky, and takes over the controls. Back on the main ship, Duncan snaps out of his funk, runs to the cargo hold, and grabs a massive laser turret. He opens fire on an approaching ship, completely unaware that Adam is piloting it. Adam's stolen jet gets blasted from behind by an enemy, forcing the prince to leap off the exploding aircraft and land heavily on the roof of Tila's ship. When an enemy soldier swoops in with giant buzzsaws, Adam catches the rotating blades with his bare hands, spins the entire aircraft around, and hurls it into another jet, causing a massive mid-air explosion. Unfortunately, the damage to Tila's ship is too severe, and both the ship and Adam crash land heavily into different parts of the dense jungle. Meanwhile, back at the underground base, Skeletor takes full control and rounds up the captured rebels, demanding to know who the mysterious muscle-bound warrior was. When the crowd stays silent, Skeletor ruthlessly executes Mossman with a blast of dark magic to send a message. Terrified, Fisto finally confesses that the giant champion is actually Prince Adam. Deep in the forest, Duncan wakes up near the wreckage of the ship. While searching through the survival gear, he discovers a storage container labeled Darts and opens it to find his iconic, bright orange battle armor. Nearby, Adam regains consciousness to the sound of the sorceress speaking to him through a magical bird, reminding him that he is the chosen champion of Grayskull. Tila finds him completely uninjured, and they head back to the crash site to find Duncan fully suited up, clean-shaven, and ready for war, though Tila immediately catches him hiding a flask of alcohol inside his armor suit. Duncan pulls Adam aside for a heartfelt chat. Adam admits he feels immense guilt over the raw violence of ripping off Trapjaw's arm, wondering what happened to peaceful communication. Duncan explains that when true war breaks out, it isn't the poets who save the day, it's the people with the muscle who stand up to protect their families. Inspired, Adam effortlessly lifts the entire multi-ton crashed spaceship with a single hand so Tila can grab supplies. Believing a romantic moment is happening, Adam leans in for a kiss, but Tila quickly steps back, letting him know she views him strictly as a great friend and a little brother. Suddenly, the night sky lights up with a massive, terrifying projection of Skeletor. The villain offers a direct trade, bring the Sword of Power to Snake Mountain, and Adam will be reunited with his mother and father, whom he claims to have kept alive all these years. If Adam refuses, they die. Tila warns him that it is an obvious trap, but Adam insists that saving his family is what a true man does. Accompanied by Duncan and Tila, they march right up to the gates of Snake Mountain. The gatekeeper, Goatman, refuses to let the group enter, stating that Adam must walk into the fortress alone with the weapon while the rest of the team is thrown directly into the dungeons. Adam marches into the dark throne room and draws his sword, spotting his captive father, King Randa, nearby. Skeletor demands the blade, but Adam refuses to hand it over until his father is released. Skeletor unleashes his elite horde of specialized warriors to wrench the weapon away. A massive brawl breaks out. When Adam gets temporarily disarmed, he picks up an entire enemy soldier and swings him like a baseball bat to clear the room. Watching his son absolutely dominate the battlefield, King Randa's face lights up with immense pride. He charges at Skeletor to finish the fight, but Evelyn uses her dark magic to freeze the prince midair. As Skeletor draws his blade to execute King Randa, Adam's pure rage shatters Evelyn's magic spell. He fires a massive bolt of energy that misses Skeletor and hits the cavern ceiling instead, causing a catastrophic structural collapse. Adam rushes through the falling rocks and pulls his father out of the heavy rubble. With his final breaths, King Randa looks at his son and apologizes for his harshness, explaining he only wanted to make him strong enough to survive the war. Randa passes away right there in his son's arms. Before Adam can even process his grief, Skeletor blindsides him with a heavy blast from his magic staff, knocking him completely unconscious. Adam wakes up back in his regular human form, locked inside a dungeon cell alongside the rest of the captured rebels. He spots his mother, Queen Marlena, and the two share an emotional embrace. Up in the throne room, Skeletor stands before his dark altar, raises the stolen sword of power, and chants the magical phrase, but absolutely nothing happens. Enraged, he grabs Evelyn by the throat, demanding answers. She explains that the sword's magic is tied to its origin point. They must take the weapon directly back to the main altar inside Castle Grayskull to perform a corrupting ritual. Down in the dark cells, Duncan sits beside a broken Adam, admitting his own deep feelings of failure as a protector. Adam reminds the commander of his old advice to always stand tall when knocked down, and the two share a laugh through their tears. Tila interrupts them to reveal a major surprise. Adam's old tiger, Cringer, is alive, locked up with them, and can fully talk now. Feeling a sudden burst of inspiration, Adam stands up and delivers an incredibly awkward corporate team-building speech to the captured rebels, explaining that success in the modern workplace doesn't rely on one individual, but on a dedicated team working together. Despite the bizarre Earth corporate terminology, the speech successfully fires up the crowd. The cell bars are made of indestructible photonium metal, but Adam points out that the surrounding walls are just regular old stone. At his urging, Duncan quickly reprograms Roboto back into her hyper-lethal battle mode. The machine opens fire with a hail of heavy bullets, destroying the stone foundation so the rebels can shatter the bars and break free. The heroic warriors quickly overwhelm the dungeon guards, hijack an entire fleet of enemy airships, and launch a massive counter-offensive to retake the capital city of Eternos. A brutal war breaks out in the streets as the rebels fight to reclaim their home. Adam, Tila, and Cringer land their ship directly at the gates of Castle Grayskull. Duncan and Roboto stay behind on the bridge to hold off the approaching army. To delay the endless wave of troops, Duncan and Roboto intentionally shoot a massive stone ancestor statue, toppling it over to completely destroy the bridge. However, Trapjaw suddenly swoops in on an armored jet and opens fire, blowing Roboto to pieces. Fueled by pure rage, Duncan leaps onto the passing jet, smashes through the cockpit window, beats Trapjaw to a pulp, forces a live grenade directly into the villain's mouth, and dives off the ship just as it detonates in a massive fireball. Duncan rushes back to the ruined robot, relieved to find her mechanical head is still conscious. Inside the dark castle, Skeletor places the blade onto the sacred altar. The heroes burst into the room, with Cringer tackling the guards and Tila engaging Evelyn in a fierce magical duel. Beastman joins the fray, using a heavy whip against Cringer. Adam rushes the altar to grab the sword, but because he is completely occupied blocking Skeletor's relentless magical blast, he is unable to trigger his transformation. Skeletor unleashes a massive concentration of dark energy, completely shattering the sword of power into tiny fragments. Mocking the broken weapon, Skeletor grabs Adam by the head and uses dark magic to invade his mind, forcing him into a series of terrifying, reality-bending hallucinations. Back in reality, Skeletor brutally stabs Adam in the chest with a jagged shard of the broken sword, casting his spirit into a final illusion of his Earth bedroom. Adam looks down at his scattered sketches and spots a drawing of the sorceress. Suddenly, all the papers in the room begin to float, and the magical bird appears before him once again. Adam despairs, stating that he can no longer fight because the legendary sword is destroyed. But the sorceress asks him a crucial question: when you raise the magic sword, what exact words do you say? Adam realizes the truth. The phrase is, "I have the power," meaning the divine magic isn't inside a metal blade, it has been inside Adam this entire time. With his true power unlocked, Adam snaps back to consciousness in the real world. He pulls the broken shard directly out of his chest as a blinding golden light fills the room. The ancient magic completely heals his fatal injury and magnetically pulls the shattered pieces of the sword back together, forging it whole. Adam raises the blade, unleashes the incantation, and transforms into a blinding godlike entity, a spectacle so massive it can be seen by the entire city outside. Remembering the sorceress's words about compassion, the newly empowered prince refuses to fight. Instead, he looks at his mortal enemy and asks to end the endless cycle of violence through open communication. Skeletor absolutely scoffs at the therapy session, proudly declaring that there is zero good inside him and that he is the ultimate villain. He fires a massive barrage of dark magic, but Adam effortlessly blocks the blast with his bracelets. Skeletor mocks him, claiming the prince is too scared to use his raw power, but Adam calmly replies that he knows exactly how to use it, he just prefers not to. With that, the kid gloves come off. Adam completely obliterates Skeletor in a one-sided beatdown, effortlessly throwing the Dark Lord through stone columns like a ragdoll. Seeing her boss get absolutely demolished, Evelyn quietly slips out the back door to save herself. A battered and desperate Skeletor finally begs to start talking, but Adam notes that the time for corporate dialogue is officially over. He grabs Skeletor's magical Havoc staff with his bare hands and snaps it in two, releasing a cataclysmic shockwave that completely obliterates the villain, leaving nothing behind but an empty skull. 6 months later, the kingdom of Eternos is fully rebuilt, thriving, and happier than ever before. Queen Marlena has officially taken her rightful place on the throne. Duncan shows off a brand new, completely upgraded body for Roboto. Walking through the courtyard, Tila notes that Adam has given everyone in the kingdom a cool warrior nickname, and asks what her title is. Adam smiles and reveals her name is the Warrior Goddess. To wrap things up, we see that Adam actually brought his Earth roommate, Hussein, to Eternia on a vacation just to prove to the guy that he wasn't completely crazy and that his magical homeland is 100% real. Suddenly, Roboto picks up a cosmic distress signal coming from a nearby outer village. Duty calls. Adam draws his sword, transforms into the legendary champion, and alongside a heavily armored, giant battle-ready Cringer. And with that final epic shot, friends, this incredible cosmic story comes to an end. Thank you all for watching this video. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, it goes a long way to help me grow. Have a nice day, bye.